Alright, and we are live. Okay, so last time I got cut off because I forgot that it stops streaming when I expand the size of the window or click out of it or something. So, but I'm using a different tool now, and I wanted to show you that when you expand it, there is a limit when you put a maximum width to it. So you see there's a maximum width to this paragraph, and before the line would continue on and on and on and on and then wrap over to the next line. But now it doesn't keep on going till it reached the whole width of this viewport. It stops at their maximum width and then wraps around to the next line. So it kind of determines where the elements end. Alright, and so we can go to the next page. If you have any question, you could just comment down below. I'll try to get back to you. And now we can talk about the overflow. We can go over the overflow. So all the components of the box model comprise an element size. For example, an image that has the following dimension is 364 pixels wide and 244 pixels wide. I don't know what is that noise I'm hearing. Anyways, 300 pixels wide. Okay, I don't know what they're talking about here. Oh, they're just giving us dimensions about the padding, border, margin, and which direction with respect to the content it is. So the total dimension, 364 by 244 pixels, are calculated by adding all of the vertical dimensions together and all of the horizontal dimensions together. Sometimes these components result in an element that is larger than the parent's containing area. How can we ensure that we can view all of an element that is larger than its parent's containing area? The overflow property controls what happens to content that spills or overflows outside its box. The most commonly used values are hidden. When set to this value, any content that overflows will be hidden from view. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to use earlier today. I wanted to build a semicircle, and a semicircle is half of the circle. So to get that semicircle, I cut it off, whatever was overflowing off the page. So then, and another value is scroll. When set to this value, a scroll bar will be added to the elements box so that the rest of the content can be viewed by scrolling. And visible. When set to this value, the overflow content will be displayed outside of the containing element. Note this is the default value. In this example above, if any of the paragraph content overflows, perhaps a user resizes their browser window, a scroll bar will appear so that users can view the rest of the content. Oh, I didn't realize my screen is cut off a little bit, but we weren't looking at that. Okay, for a more in-depth look at overflow, including additional properties like overflow X and overflow Y that separate out the horizontal and vertical values. If you want to check out the documentation, let's check out the documentation. We should build a good habit of looking at the documentations. If you want to be a software engineer, that's one of the most common things you have to do. So this is visible. Oh, I'm glad we came here because it gives us a good illustration of what each of these are. Hidden, nice. Scroll, nice. Auto, nice. Okay. So it looks like auto will only use a scroll bar in the direction that it does overflow, where scroll would give us a scroll bar in both directions, even though the horizontal scroll bar is not necessary. Alright. And if you want to go to this link, you could just type in Overflow MDN Web Docs. Okay, so let's go through the instructions to practice using Overflow. In order to see the impact of Overflow, scroll first, change the height of the main element, to 1000 pixels. So we're going to copy that property, set it to 1000 pixels. Did we get it right? Yes, we get it right. So what did that do? I didn't know what this main element is. Which one is the main element? If you want to know, the main element is, here it is. Here's the main element. So it is the state's latest conversation efforts. This whole red paragraph. Set the overflow of the main element to scroll. And what was that? We just learned it using the overflow property. And we want which type of overflow? A scroll. And let's see what happens to that. When you scroll down, the second scroll bar should appear. There is a second paragraph. This whole thing is main, not just this red. This whole thing. You may have to expand the browser component in order to see this behavior clearly. You may have to expand the browser component in order to see this. We see it all right. All right. Next, resetting defaults. Okay, so we're going to go all the way to the end. Resetting defaults. All major web browsers have a default style sheet they use in the absence of an external style sheet. These default style sheets are known as user agent style sheets. In this case, the term user agent is a technical term for the browser. User agent style sheets often have default CSS rules that set default values for padding and margin. This affects how the browser displays HTML elements, which can make it difficult for a developer to design or style a web page. Many developers choose to reset these values. Hold on. There was an alarm going off anyways. Many developers choose to reset these default values so that they can truly work with a clean slate. The code in the example above resets the default margin and padding values of all HTML elements. It is often the first CSS rule in an external style sheet. Note that both properties are both set to 0. When these properties are set to 0, they do not require a unit of measurement. In style.css, reset the default margin and padding values for the body. What happens to the web page in the browser? Okay, so for the body, which is right here, and they want us to set the default margin and padding values. So we could set it as 0. Inside of the body rule set, you can also use a universal selector to create a rule set like in the example above. Well, do we see anything? Nothing really changed. Should we copy this one? Did you see a change? I didn't see a change. Not much has changed. Let's look at the discussions. And I can also send that in the link just in case you want to go check it out. Okay, so anyways, let's go on to the next one. Visibility. Elements can be hidden from view with the visibility property. The visibility property can be set to one of the following values. Hidden hides an element, visible displays an element. Collapse is an element. Whoa. Okay. In the example above, the list item with the class of future will be hidden from view in the browser. Keep in mind, however, that users can still view the contents of the list item. By viewing the source code in their browser. Furthermore, the web page will only hide the contents of the element. It will still leave an element space where the element is intended to display. What's the difference between display none and visibility hidden? An element with display none will be completely removed from the web page. An element with visibility hidden, however, will not be visible on the web page, but the space reserved for it will. Take a look at the list items in index.html. Where is our list item? Are they talking about? Oh, they're talking about this thing at the top. In style.css, add a class selector rule set for donate. This class selector for donate, so we want to target donate. I will put it somewhere here. No, it's the class selector for the name of, with the name of donate, and we want to set it to visibility of hidden. Oh, forgot my semicolon. Oh, but it accepted it anyways. So it just made it disappear. So I had a question earlier about what if they meant when they said the space reserved for it will. So they're saying when it's hidden, there's still going to be a space for that element. It's just invisible. Review. In this lesson, we cover the 4 properties of the box model: height and width, padding, borders, and margins. Understanding the box model is an important step towards learning more advanced HTML and CSS topics. Let's take a minute to review what you've learned. The box model comprises a set of properties used to create space around and between HTML elements. The height and width of a content area can be set in pixels or percentages. Borders around the content area and padding of an element. The color, style, and thickness of a border can be set with CSS properties. Padding is the space between the content area and the border. It can be set in pixels or percent. Margin is the amount of spacing outside of the element's border. Horizontal margins add, so the total space between the borders of adjacent element is equal to the sum of the right margin of one element and the left margin of the adjacent element. Vertical margin collapse, so the space between the vertically adjacent element is equal to the larger margin. Margin with 0 auto horizontally centers an element inside of its parent's content area if it has a width. The overflow property can be set to display, hide, or scroll, and dictates how HTML will render content that overflows its parent's content area. The visibility property can hide or show elements. Make some adjustments to the code in a code editor. See if you can improve the appearance of the page by changing the following properties: width, height, padding, border, margin, overflow. What do you think needs to be changed? I think it looks fine the way it is. Shall we go to the next one? Up next. Nice work! So the next time I stream, let's go to, what will this be? Changing the box model. Alright, see y'all soon.